So we have a process called Onboarding with PI, which is a sequential way to onboard a new employee, but the onboarding is with an asterisk. The asterisk is, it's not just for onboarding, right? You could onboard a new employee, sure. You could also onboard employees maybe new to your team or has changed teams. What about maybe the team gets a new leader? Or this would just be a really good thing to do with leaders and their existing team to help them impact their leadership effectiveness and trust with their employees. So where can you use it? Any of these situations. And this is a great use case for when you get your leaders going in the software to give them something to do. And the process looks like this, which is start with the PI behavioral assessment, right? And this might be in the first week or two if they're new, or the first 30 days, right, with a leader in their team. And they're simply going to sit down and talk about the strongest behaviors that resonated, the management strategies that resonated. And if it's Hero and I, and Hero's my direct report, Hero's going to start. I'm going to say, Hero, look at the report. Tell me what stuff really stood out and sounds like you. And she's going to highlight that. And if I'm a decent leader, I'm asking her a couple questions. Tell me more. And then when she gets to the end, management strategies, she's going to say, oh yeah, these two really matter. I'm going to say, give me one or two things I should know about working with you. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to share with leader my strongest behaviors. I'm going to share with Hero as a leader my strongest behaviors and what my management strategies mean and what she should do and not do with me. What this does is reinforces, if it's a new hire, this is why you're here. We hired you for all this amazing stuff, but we want to get to know you. So instead of taking 6 months to know these things about each other, we can do it in a couple of weeks, right? So the next month, you might sit down with a management strategy guide. And now that, right, we're going to talk a little bit about what things am I doing consistently well with Hero, and what are one or two things that I could do, start doing or do differently that would be even more effective at driving engagement and performance. Management strategy guide is kind of the how-to day-to-day with an employee. Next month or two after that, we're going to look at the relationship guide, which will compare Hero and I and tell us our strengths together and tell us a couple of cautions and tips. And we're going to look at that together and find the one thing where we go, oh yeah, we do that together kind of thing, or we don't do that. How do we adjust on the one thing that might help us be better? And if you want to get really ambitious and get a double gold star, at 4 months in, you might take out the coaching guide. The PI coaching guide takes the job target and the person's BA and it identifies areas of fit and gaps, and it suggests coaching questions that a leader could use to engage someone in this. So even if you don't do all 4 of these things, what if you started with the 2 or 3? Once a month, leaders, why don't you sit down with your folks in the first month and do this? Next month, we want you to do this. And the third month, this. And for you overachievers, get to the coaching guide. This is an example of a use case. It gives them something very specifically to go do now that they have software access, and you don't have to do it for them. And once they start having some success, right? Because if I get 1 or 2 little nuggets from Hero in this behavioral review discussion, and she does too, I assure you, we're both going to go, that was really valuable. That was really good. We got some stuff out of that. Now I'm encouraged to do this, and I'm going to get a little more value, right? And keep going, and they're going to be learning as they go. So there's a deck and a guide that you'll get as part of this webinar on how to do this onboarding asterisk, right? It's not just for breakfast anymore. Remember that campaign? This is not just for onboarding. This is for leaders with their existing employees. Because even if they've worked together for 10 years and have a good relationship, I absolutely guarantee they will learn things and get insights with each other that will help it be better. So the way the tool looks is on any of these steps, like this step 1, right? The behavioral assessment review. It gives a little bit of what are the tools you'll use, what's the value, and some tips. So this is the low D version of it, right? For your low CD leaders who aren't going to read anything else. For your others who are either really interested or have more D or higher C, there's actually a guide that has in-depth, step-by-step instructions on every one of these steps of the process along the way. So this give PI software access, yes. And if you give them a use case like this, then they'll go do something, and then they will start coming back to it and looking at more of the data and getting there on their own. And you don't have to do that for them, right? And that's critical for sure. And as PI continues to develop more and more of these kind of management strategy, relationship guide tools that are really easy to use without having expert knowledge, we can keep going for sure. The other nice thing is if you give access, we can actually measure activity for you. So we can get some reports out of the PI software for you that show you, okay, we gave some managers access. Well, Tom and Hero haven't been in there at all. Let's go ask them if they need help, if they don't understand, if they don't see value. And then these other 3 or 4 leaders, man, they've been doing a whole bunch of stuff. This is great. We're seeing them engage in the tool. So we can give you data to help you know who's been doing what and what tools are they using and when. And activity doesn't mean outcomes, but they're probably not in there just for their health, running reports and, using tools and analytics in most cases.